Welcome to Subject to Change, a sustainability podcast.
Have you guys been called to do something?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Reiki, like energy work, I was called to do that.
Yeah.
And so I went forth and did that.
But what form does that come to you in? Like, when does it come to you that you're like, oh, I'm being called?
For me, it's like this feeling, I wouldn't say that it's like a specific time, but it's usually, well, when I find that it's usually when I'm like quiet, like if I like have a moment to like let myself be still and like allow space for something to come in or an idea to come in. And usually it's just like, if it comes up multiple times, like with the Reiki training, it was like I thought about it like multiple times and it wouldn't go away.
You challenged me because one of the things I'm not good at is being still and letting things kind of perk in my mind. I'm always, I won't say jittery, but there's stuff to be done and I'm always looking to do it. So are you looking for the signals that you wondering, are you wondering if you're missing signals or? Yeah, Lauren, curiosity.
So I actually asked that question because I thought just the way that you worded it last week. So I have a whole morning thing, and Heather knows, well, you both know a little bit about it, where I will do yoga, I will meditate, I will journal, and there's this kind of system to my morning. And for weeks, and Heather knows this, I've been kind of like stuck, and I'm like, even when I'm meditating, I'm doing it and just going through the motions. But last week I had this moment where I was in the middle of a meditation, and it wasn't even like a manifestation meditation. It was just a meditation. And I just got this vision. I think it was like who we had talked to and what I had been reading about in one of my recent books and everything lately. Everything just kind of framed up beautifully, and it was like wrapped up with a bow and just served into my brain. Found this vision of like, oh my God, this is my next project. Like, I've got to figure this out. I have to figure out how to do this. And like, I could see the location, I could see what it was supposed to be, I could see what was supposed to be in it and who was supposed to be involved, and I just saw it. And so I feel like I'm called to do it, right?
Yeah.
Or at least, like explore that. There's this like work that I do called To Be Magnetic. And that is like what they will call as like a ping. Like that's like a download or like an idea, a little ping that comes through. And it doesn't mean that you have to, like, for you, it sounds like it's more like concrete and it's like, yeah, you know.
I swear to you, my mind wasn't wandering. I mean, I guess technically my mind must have wandered, but I wasn't.
That was productive.
Like it was like all of a sudden everything just came totally into focus. That's the only way that I can explain it, is that I've been out here and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, this is
how great
what we're doing. This makes so much sense now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool.
I get that sometimes when I'm bicycling or when I'm walking, and it's like I'm doing something physical, so I can't possibly get my hands into something that also needs my brain. It's just the repetitive alternate side of your body kind of motion, and it's almost like it unblocks the dam, and all of a sudden, sometimes it's silly songs that are going through my head, but more often it's like the brain is working and you're not paying attention to it working, and then things start to join together in a way that they wouldn't join together if you just weren't letting it tick along.
That's because you're creating space. Like so for me, like I can see like from like an outsider's perspective, like you're outside and like in nature and like doing something physical. So you're keeping your body moving, but it's just like creating space for those ideas or those puzzle pieces to like come in and fit together.
So Lauren, what can you share with us? What was what the revelation was, or is that too in advance of what you're ready for?
Oh, my food forest idea and my community kind of idea and everything. And so it's bringing it all together in this way. And I think that the final kind of portion of it is this idea of going through the process of building my own house, and then, you know, what that means for me and what that could mean for other people. And so bringing all of this together full circle to a community that needs some rallying, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. And that's all I'm going to say.
Fun.
Stay tuned.
Yes, for all of you people watching out there, stay tuned. A future episode will be about part of the journey, whatever that journey is that Lauren's teasing us with at the moment. It's already clear that you've been the impetus for self-revelation just by being on our Zoom call. So now I'm fascinated with what your practice is and what you seek in it, and what you find most fulfilling, maybe. First, what is your practice?
I own a studio, and we offer yoga, meditation, breath work, energy work like Reiki. So it's a very small studio where I focus more on like one-to-one sessions with people. And then outside of that, I offer yearly retreats. So they kind of infuse all of these things together. It's not like just a yoga retreat. It's called Reawaken. And this is happening in August, mid-August. And the whole idea, it's for women only. We kind of came up with that because after the first year, we only had women, and the bond that like everybody created in that, we were all like, there was a guy here, just wouldn't be the same. So it's all about like reawakening that connection to ourselves with other people, and seeing other people as human beings, and not like their story, and not like their job, or all of these things that are kind of like placed on us, which are all good, but kind of like breaking down those barriers and seeing each other as like human beings and on like an equal playing field. And then reconnecting with nature. I know last year on the retreat we did like a forest bathing.
I just finished a book on it.
So it was really, really, really wild, like the experiences that people had during their time.
Describe what that was. You said it was about a 2-hour interaction with the forest.
Yeah. So it was completely silent. So I kind of like talked about what forest bathing is beforehand, and I kind of, everybody could set an intention, try to like take in visuals around them, feel like touching the dirt, like feeling trees, like noticing different textures, and it wasn't like a super guided thing, because like I didn't want people to be like, oh, you have to do it like this, because that's not the idea of it.
What one of your revelations from that?
Ooh, good question.
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if I'm going to remember. I'm trying to think. I can't remember anything like very specific, other than like I remember like taking a moment to like sit on this one path in the woods, and and just like noticing the vibrancy of colors around me, like taking the time to notice like
that's cool,
the moss on the ground.
So one of the things, Jodi, about it is that there's kind of this common misconception that just to go out in nature, like for physical activity, is enough. And it does enormous amounts, but to do the full restorative kind of, to get the full restorative impact of forest bathing on your mental health, on your physical health, to actually like reset and kind of reconnect your soul to the earth, like quite literally the universe, the earth, whatever. Like you have to have this kind of this slowness and this stillness and this actual like acknowledging of everything that's going on around you through all of your senses. And it's so funny because I've started hiking a lot more. Obviously during COVID, I think everybody was like out more, but I was so focused on the physical aspect of it and wanting to like get energy out and have a workout that I missed so much. Like I was walking over like all of these downed like hawk feathers and stuff like that. And the person I was with was like, did you seriously just step over this? Like you're not even noticing what's going on around you. And that's kind of when I realized, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to pick this book up and I'm going to read it. And I'm like, oh, it's like I was doing it wrong. I thought I could multitask and you can't.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
There's still a benefit to it, but I mean, not the full benefit.
Right. This is actually like kind of a good like segue, because I feel like that's like my whole, I guess, like view and like my whole thought process around yoga and meditation and like everything that I offer here. And the benefits are going to be like so much wider than if you were just like, you know, if you're like still thinking about something that happened, you know, earlier in your day and you're like going through the motions, like physically you're getting the benefit, but maybe not like mentally or emotionally or spiritually.
That's cool. I'm going to tie it back to sustainability too, because as you were talking about the intentionality and being in the moment, I was thinking of, you know, Lauren, the lead checklist, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you approach that as just checking off the boxes for do this and do that, you're not actually getting the benefit of understanding the systems and what's important in the building and all of those things. And I think it's the same thing with any mindful practice. So like I do either 20 minutes to a half an hour yoga in the morning. And when I first started doing it, my goal was just to do it. Just get up every morning, and whether I could breathe or not, I just wanted to do it. And it got to the point where it's actually and Lauren, you've probably experienced this with your morning process too, where it sets me up for the whole day. And sometimes I don't even really remember, maybe this is counterintuitive, but sometimes I don't actually remember doing the yoga because I've actually just given myself that time to not have a process or a goal. It's just the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a strange balance, right? Between losing yourself and finding yourself.
Ooh.
And that I think is like so cool that you just said that, because to me that just feels like you're in such a like a meditative state, even if it doesn't feel that way for you. To me that's what it seems like, because a lot of times when you're in meditation, like if you hit that like level of you're not aware of time and you're just in that, like you might not like remember what happened in the meditation. It just feels like it went in a blink of an eye.
So what's a breathwork class like? Like what happens in a breathwork class?
Yeah, we'll start off with you know, depending on what they need. So a lot of times people need to like slow down their mind and like try to find relaxation and reduce their stress levels and anxiety. So that is a little more like soft and gentle. So it might look something like, you know, there's a breath called alternate nostril breathing, which helps to create some balance within the body, energetically and physically, and really helps to like ground you and slow down. There is a book called Breathe by James Nestor. I've read it twice. It's phenomenal. He does this whole experiment with mouth breathing and then nose breathing and seeing the effects in your body. And it is unbelievable. Like over the course of 10 days of only breathing through your mouth, like destroys like your whole, like, I'm not even going to try to like know what I'm talking about here, but he goes into it. It's really insane. A lot of people do breathe through their mouth unknowingly. But the more you practice breathing through your nose, the easier it will get. Like it'll get
That's the proper filter. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Yeah. That's what filters all of the contaminants out and keeps you healthier and actually taps you into the the proper part of your esophagus for breathing. And yeah, okay, I will recommit.
Helps to regulate your temperature in your body and your heart rate. You can get like more oxygen into your body by breathing through your nose, like breathing deeply through your nose. So that book is definitely like, I highly recommend it. It's really, really good.
I'm hyper aware now though.
I know, I've never focused so much on breathing through my nose in my life.
Yeah.
I have to blow my nose.
Wonderful kind of emails just related to mindfulness in general. And I know that I want to say it was shortly after the first of the year, there was a lot of focus on social media.
Yeah.
And what it does to us as human beings. So as two people who have their podcast on a social media platform, really, right? Like what are some of the insights that you've learned and that you've discussed with people in those types of forums?
Yeah, so social media is one of those things that especially with owning a business, I guess this is really what like launched me into being even aware of social media. So when I opened the studio, you just think like, okay, I have to use social media to market. But then after a while, once you're like doing it all the time, I just felt like I'm running out of things to say. I was finally like, screw it, I'm done. I'm done with social media. Like, this is just, I don't really even get customers this way. Like, I feel better sending emails out, and I feel like I can share more authentically through emails. And that's where like most of my business comes from, other than like word of mouth. Because I wasn't on it as much, like my mind was way clearer. I felt like I had way more energy. Like I didn't feel like bogged down or like in a fog, or like, all these things started like happening because I wasn't on as often. So I like quick on Instagram, like did this little like questionnaire that asked people like, how much time do you spend on social media? And like, how does that make you feel? And I was blown away. Like, it almost makes me want to cry thinking about it still, because they're mostly like, I would say people around their 20s were kind of writing and saying that they were spending up to 10 hours a day on social media. And it was like, they felt horrible about themselves. They had no confidence in what they were doing. They never felt like they were good enough because they weren't living the life that other people were on social media. I have to do something. Like, I do not have a choice in this. I have to do something. The next morning, I was like, I think I blacked out. I created an entire 4-week course in like a night. Like, the next morning, I was like, I don't even remember what I wrote on there. I had to like go back and reread it because it was just like coming out. So this like 4-week courses, I'm in the process of like, I think restructuring it just based off of like the first group of people that took it. But it's all about trying to find a more balanced life with it and see why you're like getting down to the root cause of like, why are you turning to social media? I still use social media, but it's something that I have to like work on and not be reliant on it. Just, I think like with most people, a lot of people, that's their job. So I have a whole section on if you own a business or if you do this for a living, then how do you navigate that?
And it's hard. People don't know how to have conversations about stuff, which is half the problem that we've had in the last 4+ years, is that people don't know how to pull their own receptors out there and discuss what they think about something and analyze for themselves what's important. So kudos for developing that course.
This is like an ongoing thing. Like a 4-week course isn't going to necessarily like heal you and like break that addiction from social media, but it starts with the awareness. But yeah, and realizing like, what are your own genuine thoughts and values and beliefs? Because if you're spending 10 hours a day on social media, you have no idea what you even think for yourself. Like, wait, who am I and how do I think?
So you had noted that you had prepared, kind of thought about what
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about. Maybe we've talked about some of it, maybe we haven't. Is there, what else do you want to put out there?
So when I was prepping for the podcast, I was just like looking up different definitions of sustainability. And one, I was like really shocked at like how many definitions there were. But two that I found, the first one that's like pretty general was the ability to be at a certain rate or level. And for me, that just felt like balance in your life.
Yeah.
Like finding this like nice, like even keeled balance, which I know we can't be there all the time, but the more we're able to find that balanced state and, not be like turning to our phones, but turning to the things that create a better balance in our life. Like for me, it's yoga, it's energy work, it's meditation, it's walking outside.
That's great.
And then the other definition that came up was like more like based in like environmental sustainability. But the definition I found was the quality of not being harmful to the environment or depleting natural resources, and thereby supporting long-term ecological balance. If we're not being harmful to our body and our mind and our soul, we're not like depleting like our, I guess, natural resources. That piece of like long-term ecological balance really felt like almost like a ripple effect. So when you find like a balanced or a sustained like state of being an authentic version of you, and that will just spread to the environment, because you might be more aware of the resources that you're using, other people, relationships that you have. You're just naturally gonna like inspire other people to find more of a balanced state, feel more in line with yourself. Then if you have a coworker or even your partner maybe having a bad day and is reacting or blowing up on you about something or confronting you with a situation, you can be in line and balanced and not like blowing back up on them.
I think it's fantastic that you looked up definitions. I think that's amazing. And it's interesting because in the second definition you mentioned, as you started to talk about it, you started to get into what I'm hoping to learn more about, which is regenerative practice and a regenerative mindset. So you've moved from not harming yourself and not harming the systems. You start to move into actually building the systems and building the reciprocity of the systems. So your joy and your passion and your contributions can feed the people around you, which makes them more capable of supporting you so that you can then support them better. It becomes this awesome spiral instead of a vicious spiral. Balance and physical or mental balance for yourself is the starting point for all of that regenerative practice. So that's really exciting to me.
Yeah.
But you were using those words.
And that's what the studio is. For me now, it has shifted from making people feel better in their body, I guess, to find their integrity, their whole version of themselves. Of course, I'm still practicing it every day. I'm not a perfect human, but
no, I love the term practice too. That's the other thing that I love about yoga, is knowing that it's not something you do, it's something you practice.
Yeah, right.
that makes me feel much better.
Yeah. Okay, who is my hero? Oh, you say easy question. I'm like, that's a really hard question.
No,
for
that's
me.
the easier one to ask.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit, I guess, of an abstract answer. I would say like my highest self would be my hero, because when I think of looking at another person as a hero, it feels almost like bowing down to another person and like having to feel like I need to be like them. I used to do that, but that is how I found that I veered away from my own path. Yeah.
God, I love that answer.
Best answer ever.
How cool is that?
That was a good one. Oh gosh, that was.
Thank you for that.
I think the most important thing is for people to connect with their intuition. So like that gut feeling, that instinct that you have, trusting that and like paying attention to that more. So I always
That's great.
tell people to do it on a very small scale, like feeling like, I really, really need to go for a walk right now. But then all of a sudden, all of this other stuff starts coming in. The moment that you have that spark of like an idea or the inclination that you need something, go and do it if you can. With the little things like in your everyday, try to honor that, because that walk might be the thing that might create that space for that clarity, those puzzle pieces to come through. So I think really trying to connect in and listen to your intuition, your gut feeling, like those little sparks that you get in your mind.
In the technology era, we have been taught that our gut is untrustworthy, that we need to get affirmation from outside experts. And the reality is we're each experts about ourselves.
A lot of times what I do in the morning, I wake up and I ask myself, what do I need today? And then giving myself literally 30 seconds, and usually something comes in right away. Like, I really need to
cool.
take it easy today, so I'm going to take it easy. Or I'm feeling pretty energized today, I'm going to like take my son to, go on an adventure, like wherever, at the park, or, so if you're not really sure, just ask yourself.
This has been Subject to Change. Please subscribe and comment.
Thank you guys for having me on. This is like such a great conversation, and this is really fun.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I think that there were a lot of things that came out of this that were unlike any, which is what we want, unlike any other conversation that we've had.
Yeah. I found a lot of self-reflection in this one, which I truly appreciate.